This episode of Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast is sponsored by DJB47.com. DJB47.com is the official clothing brand of West Indian cricket legend Dwayne Bravo, also known as Sir Champion. DJB47.com offers a wide variety of t-shirts, hoodies, and caps in all sizes for cricket fans.
For our listeners in India, we have a special offer. When you use the code DJB47 at the checkout, you'll receive a 20% discount on all your purchases. No questions asked. Remember, just the code DJB47. Additionally, DJ Bravo 47 merchandise will soon be available in Sri Lanka and Australia. Exciting news ahead.
Yeah, and for everyone listening and watching, we are running a competition on our social media to give away 5 DJ Bravo 47 caps. So to participate, simply like our post, share it, and tag a friend or friends. The more friends you tag, the more chances you have to win a cap. You can find all the links to our social media in the show notes. So check it out, share it, and you have a chance to win a cap. After that little bit of housekeeping, now let's get into today's episode. Indian women's captain, she's in trouble as well.
You can't speak in the media like that.
No.
It's greater than the game.
Welcome back to Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast. We are recording this on 23rd, Sunday, and looks like Australia are gonna retain the Ashes looking at the weather forecast. And I have a smiling Bora here who predicted it 2 months ago, I think. And Sri Lanka test team preparing for the second test against Pakistan, which will be played at SSC. Bora, where should we start? Should we start with the Ashes or Sri Lanka versus Pakistan? The both are very interesting.
Yeah, happy to go whichever way we want to. I think both series are a lot of talking points around that with us. So happy for you to lead the discussion.
Shall we start with Ashes? I think it's gonna finish. I mean, there's another test match to go, but I think Australia will retain the Ashes tonight. Looking at the weather forecast, England, you can't plan for the weather. They have been pushing Aussies really hard, but a bit too late, I think.
Yeah, this game in particular was a dominant display by England. But unfortunately, the weather's playing a part at the moment and they can't get the result they want. There's still a little bit of cricket left, like yesterday, possible delayed starts to get the game going. Australia will be trying to block out as much as possible if they get on the field and come out with a great escape and eventually retain the Ashes if they're able to do that. England were off the series. Firstly, going into this test match, I felt this was the strongest England team that they've put on paper in a while. Jimmy Anderson coming in for Ollie, Wokes and Ali stepping up in their roles, just felt they were strong. Australia seemed to be, I think it looks like a tired outfit at the moment, especially the bowling. But they seem to be clinging on, hoping getting through and eventually come out with a draw, and they'll walk away home retaining these Ashes and with a view of possibly winning this series. So
yeah, anything can happen. I mean,
yeah,
good 1 hour of play. If Mark Wood can bowl a couple of those magic deliveries to get 2 batsmen out, and they can still win this test.
One thing, talking about the weather and looking at how the ground's been set up, this, it highlights how well Sri Lankan grounds are looked after.
Yeah.
There was a tweet by Stuart Broad saying like it to, like the grounds to be covered the way the Sri Lankans do the ground. So there's a lot of recognition into the effort, because in series as in Sri Lanka, you pretty much have the whole ground covered with full covers and I can't imagine the number of people working, but there's a lot of effort going into this. We are at a series
Yeah, I know.
decider, and you're still only the square being covered. And it's a lot of open spaces for the water to, hold on the ground. So
That's how they normally cover the grounds, Bora. But
yeah,
as you said, it's a very important game for the series to keep the series alive. England
yeah,
needs to win this test. Not for England to win the series, to keep the interest going for the public, so at
yeah,
least. But yeah, it's something you have to agree before the game. Both teams,
yeah,
like, you have to agree on how many covers. It's not like you can't change it now. Like
yeah,
at the toss, captain say, okay, this is how many covers. I don't know. I'm going with how first class cricket is being played. They say, okay, 6 covers or whatever,
yeah.
and that's what they use.
I
Um,
think that you're spot on it. I think there is a discussion around how the use of covers, even floodlights in a game, like if the lights fade in, are they going to use
yeah.
the light on the ground to support that? Those discussions happen prior to the series or prior to a match, and they agree on certain terms on how it is being played out. So to take this game, they might have had discussions around it, and now you can't change it. But this series, just coming back into it, I just feel has for England, it's been shaped around Mark Wood, the energy he's brought in and the influence he's had in the series,
Yeah.
along with Chris Woakes, who's also always an unsung hero in the England camp.
Hmm.
That's where they managed to get the shift into this of them coming from behind into the series. Whereas Australia had a settled team, they won at the start. Now it's appearing to be a slightly tiring outfit. For example, Pat Cummins has pulled a lot of overs. He's feeling the brunt of it now.
He dropped a couple of catches as well, Bora. He was in the middle of a spell, and England were they were pushing Aussies really hard, and that can happen to a bowler. And you think even when you're fielding, you're thinking about what you're going to bowl next. And sometimes when a catch comes your way, you are that half a second late to react. And adding that you're the captain, you have to think about the bowling changes. And that's why this topic of him resigning after this series has come up again, because we all know Pat Cummins is a world-class player, but because of the captaincy, I think it's taking its toll on him. But he's been very lucky, Bora. He's, every time all this criticism, or everyone trying to go against him, somehow things works his way. He's been lucky like that as well. Maybe it's too early to go to someone like Travis Head. Yeah, it's food for thought.
It'll be a topic for discussion. Pat Cummins himself will be open for it, but taking his leadership and the results, he has results to show. They won the World Test Championship under him. They are 2-1 up in an Ashes series in England. The last Test match didn't go their way, and the current Test match was a proper bash. Has been very dominant display by England, but still scoreline goes 2-1
Yeah.
as it reads. So if you were to take that into account, they've done really well. That's part and parcel of playing a dominant team in their home conditions. And you had to expect at some stage this game they're going to deliver with a certain way they want to play. And this test is an example of that, where they came in and batting wise just took on like top 6 of the 7 batters getting 50s.
Yeah.
They batting over 5 runs, and that is very dominant. What I have found hard to understand is Australia had to face Ben Stokes coming off Headingley a couple of years ago when he batted with the tail, went hard. It happened again in this series. Australia didn't have much of an answer. You could see everyone's on the field waiting for the guy to hit out and get out, but he would actually hit boundaries. Same thing happened with Johnny Bairstow. Australia doesn't seem to have an answer to that batter who's going hard in the back end, which I found it very surprising given there is a lot of T20 cricket, there's a lot of containing cricket happening that you should have an answer for that. That's an area which I thought Australia hasn't been able to get on top.
Yeah, you're right. It's I mean, seems to me they just trying to wait it out, you know. It's just like, okay, let's hopefully he'll play a bad shot and get out.
Yeah.
Try to block the boundaries. That has been the plan, and I want England to win, like find that 1 hour. But ball is not swinging, Bora, yesterday with the wet outfield. It just hits on. So yeah, chances are, very, very slim for England victory.
From an entertainment point of view, you want this again, like I said before in the game before, England needs to win this match again. England needs to win, and would become an all-time best series. 2-2, both teams fighting for everything going into the last one, and keeps Test cricket engaged. Even now, we talk about entertainment of playing aggressive cricket, going hard. There's still a lot of entertainment when a team's battling out, trying to survive as well. There is that entertainment, how good they are with their defense, how they're getting tested and coming out on top. So it's been a good series so
It's
far.
been a fantastic series. Every match's been sold out. And have you seen that temporary stand?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Every time I see it makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Maybe I've seen too many horror movies or these too many movies. But every time I see it, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be up there. Oh dear. 7,000 people in that stand. Oh,
Yeah, it's very
scary.
nervous out there. Maybe once you settle in, you don't feel it, but yeah, just looking at the structure, I'm a bit nervous as well. On the topic of fielding with Pat Cummins, letting go of a few, I think it's a good segue to get into the Sri Lankan Test series that is happening against Pakistan. Sri Lanka's fielding hasn't been the best. We've dropped a fair few chances. And that has led to us being 1-0 down in a series. Again, a test match or a match or a series we start slow and we're now trying to backtrack and try to get on top. So we are 1-0 down. Losing in goal is not a good. It's a hard one to take. Generally, we're showing our dominance there. But yeah, a lot of questions within the test side to be answered. And they're now heading into good old SSC. We haven't played there for a while with us, so
No.
I'm not sure if it's the same old SSC that it used to, but if it's the same old SSC, it's a hard ground to get results. Because generally a lot of the batters enjoy their time out at SSC. Series Sri Lanka needs to win. Dimuth has brought back the question of wanting to let go of his captaincy as well. Prior to the series, the news coming out was he'll be leading this test team over the course of its calendar, but there is a revisit into that, which is fair, I think, from a personal point of view, from a player. It depends how they want to tackle that and who the next role player they're looking for is. What are your thoughts? Did you watch that bit of the match, or is there anything you picked on it?
Yeah, on and off. Not the whole game, Bora. Dhananjay De Silva's 100. That was a fantastic innings. We rarely mention him. Every time he does well, we normally win. Because he does his job quietly and he keeps the things together, and with his 100 we had a total to bowl. Otherwise, we would have been in big trouble in the first day. Catches in goal, I think I spoke about this earlier as well, Bora. For some reason, it's very hard to concentrate when you're fielding in the outfield at goal.
Yeah.
I thought it was only me. I mean, if you talk to all the players, maybe too many distractions, like because it's open ground, there's too many distractions. I'm not saying Angelo must have been looking at something else. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's something very common in goal. Like even in that series against New Zealand, Sri Lankan women versus New Zealand women series, there were so many drop chances. But unfortunately, that was a very important stage of the game, and that cost us. That doesn't mean that the way we batted in the second innings, you can't justify that. So we talk about this thing over and over again. Kusal Mendes at number 3. I mean, he did score a lot of runs against Ireland. We need him to score big runs against big teams.
Yeah.
Right? Especially at home. You gotta do that. The way things are going now, if Dimut doesn't get runs, we are not posting a good total. And we are hoping Prabhat Jayasuriya and Ramesh Mendis to take 10 wickets and win us a game. That doesn't happen every time, especially
No.
against a team like Pakistan. They are a world-class team. They have bowling to get sides out. So you can't wear them out. They have bowlers who can take wickets with the new ball, old ball, especially fast bowlers. Like they have firepower in their bowling attack. On the other hand, I don't see why we don't select someone like Lahiru Kumar in a test team. Look at England. The moment they bring in Mark Wood, everything changed in that series. You need someone who can bowl that 5-6 overs, rattle a batting lineup. We have
Yeah.
that and we don't use it. So it's frustrating going to Colombo. It's not the easiest place to win a test match. I don't know. It'll be really hard to win a game there, but hopefully we'll
Yeah.
make a big first inning score, couple of hundreds from the top order, and
Yeah.
try to get them out twice.
You're right. Batting, like playing teams like Pakistan, India, for example, as well. Bangladesh probably be competitive now in subcontinent. Is they're used to this type of pitches, especially Pakistan, especially the quicks. That's the out and out difference. They're used to bowling on dead flat trackers where they use speed of air to make the difference. Sri Lanka, you're right in questioning Lahiru Kumar. I feel we just expose him in that one day format, and with that form, we judge the test form rather than we go the other way around. Um, Especially subcontinent, you need your first innings to be a good score because it becomes so hard to bat into the second, third, or fourth innings of a test match. So
Mm.
you're almost at one between the first and second innings of all 4 innings. You need to make that score count. I think we haven't done that well, and it has been with the top order losing. I mean, credit to the way Angie and Dhananjay batted. Pakistan were in the same situation,
Yeah.
and they fought their way back and batted more than what was expected, which put Sri Lanka in a hole.
Yeah.
Um, and we couldn't recover from that. So, but where we can improve, like a good example, this is where weight of runs has brought about the question. Dhananjay De Silva wind it back 4 5 months ago. In the one day team, there was a question. He was open himself. You're betting me at 7, don't play me.
Yeah.
And you go in, and now if you take the last 4 months, who's been Sri Lanka's top performing batter, Dhananjay De Silva probably stays on top. So then do you give him the opportunity to bat in a position where Sri Lanka can bat around him? Could he be the number 3 answer? I mean, 100 games, Kusal Mendes has played. The influence of that against top playing teams, I don't think we have that influence or confidence that the results are there to show. Dhananjay De Silva probably is having that factor around it, and he's pushing the case strongly now for us to make that change. So this early on in a test calendar year, maybe it's time to do that change as well. And it might support Kusal to be at a number 4 and bat longer. That means Angelo drops to number 5, which is not a bad thing in a test setup.
If you look at the bench, we have Pathum
Yeah.
Nisanka there. We have Kambu Bendis in there. So it's not like we don't have any other options.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going round in circles, but you gotta make a call. You can't make the same decision over and over again and hoping for a different result. I mean, it's okay if you don't have any other options, but when you have options, when you have people who has been making runs, batting in and around those positions, so you should look for other options.
We don't play Test cricket till February, or there's another gap in Test cricket for the Sri Lankan Test team. So how do you go about playing it? Do you expose more players into this setup? And then, well, imagine you give a debut now to the left-arm fast bowler. He plays instead of Vishwa Fernando, and then one test match, and he won't play one till February. How it will help his learning, or how he'll go about it, I don't know. But I think most likely that he might debut. I think the two spinners will hold their own. They'll play. It will be Dilshan Madhushankar coming in for Vishwa or Kasul Rajitha, one of them.
Looks like it. Now we'll keep an eye. Another news came out yesterday was Lahiru Thirimanne announced his retirement from all international cricket. He had played 13 years of cricket in Sri Lanka team in all formats for us. He was part of that team that won the 2014 T20 World Cup. Someone who we played a lot of cricket with and against. He was a quality batsman. In my opinion, he did not deliver what he promised. Yeah, he was capable of more. It could have been a different ending to his career if he made use of his opportunities a bit more. But overall, good cricketer. We wish him all the best for his future endeavors.
On Thiri, I think these Thiri, Chandimal, Angelo Matthews were some of the guys that were, pushed through a certain passage of time to build the foundation for Sri Lanka over the next course of years. Unfortunately, the return on it wasn't showing as much, but towards the back end of Thiri's test career, I think he put in some good results, and then the gap in test cricket not being played resulted in him moving to Australia to play a bit of district cricket, and eventually cut short his test spot as a result. But if you wind it back and further look, like a 13-year career, that's a long time. There are a couple of highlights, but they were just too far apart. Won the Asia Cup, and he had a good performance in that, as I believe he was top order player. Played in Australia, scored runs, but just wasn't consistent enough, where you come in from the backs of your Mahelas, Sangas, and the next blooded batsman coming in. This is after leapfrogging a lot of quality batters who were in their mid 28s to 30s, like your Tilna Kandambis, a couple of those middle order batters, but just couldn't perform regularly, which made Sri Lanka's performances didn't show up well as well. But he's had a good career. Not sure what his intentions are after retiring. Probably a lot of Masters cricket around. Could be invitations, so we might see him in one of those tournaments, or could be an involvement in coaching. So wish him all the best. We
Yeah.
played a lot against him. He's a brilliant individual. I think gets along with a lot of team members. Not a person who is hard to deal with. So I'm sure he'll do well with whatever he decides to go ahead with.
Yeah. Good luck, Thiri. I'll add one more thing. You mentioned about his hundred in Australia. He needed couple more hundreds like this against top teams. It was him, Chandi, Angelo, Kapu. Those four were the batsmen who were destined to take over after
Yeah.
Sangha, Mahela, Dilshan. But when those players left, that was a big hole to fill. And Angie and Chandi did it to a certain level, but
Yeah.
in theory couldn't really do it often enough. Maybe we'll try to catch up with him and have a chat about his plans after playing cricket. So it'll be interesting what he has to say. I think that's about the time we have for today, Bora. But by the time we record another episode, we'll know the result of the Ashes and the Sri Lanka's second test against Pakistan.
My predictions: Sri Lanka to draw the Pakistan series
Ooh.
1-1. Ashes, Australia to win it 3-1. So draw this game and then win the last game. And that will put a lot of critics down, or bring about more discussion. I just feel they'll turn it around.
Yeah.
But that's my predictions. With that, hopefully we can go through it next time we catch up.
I'm gonna go 1-0 to Pakistan. Then 2-2 to 2-2 in the Ashes, but Australia retain the Ashes.
Sounds good. Let's try to
Let's
catch
have a
up and
chat
go
in
through
10
it.
days' time and see where we are at.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Right. Catch up soon.